What is up, everybody? Welcome to the feast. What episode are we on? Episode 66, the show where you submit replays and we cast them. I am Delthius. How's it going, guys? I am doing well. I decided to do an earlier stream today for reasons. So here we are. We should be live on Twitch and on Steam. So give me a second while I verify that the Steam stuff is working. Yeah, sorry I'm a bit early. I know most of my normal fans will probably show up right at 8, ready for the show, and then it's like, oh, the show's ending at 8 today. Basically, my wife streams too, and last time I was doing the dual stream, I got some latency while she was streaming, so I figured, I'll just try to knock the show out a little bit earlier. I ran into there, and wonderful Delthius' wife stopped streaming to give me the bandwidth, so... but hey, I guess my European fans will be happy that we're going a little bit earlier. How dare you be early, says Premium Boop. I know, man. Premium Boop. Oh, man. I don't know if... I think I like Premium Boop better than P Boop, man. That might be the next iteration on the nickname there. Okay, so we got a good show lined up tonight. I actually got a lot of great submissions here. I think I even got a couple from some very new players. I'm always excited about that, man. Don't be shy, guys. Feel free to submit any game you want, any level, any amount of seriousness to ToothAndTailTV at gmail.com. It's just a fun show, man. I mean, I like having a mix of beginning, newer players, who might be looking to get their replay analyzed for tips and tricks, and just crazy nonsense games and high-level play. I think that's like my ideal show when I get a little bit of all those different types of replays in there. So let me double-check a couple things on my end, and we will get started. Man, I caught the VODs. Been trying to keep up with Tooth and Tail League Season 2. Besaki NA, he was streaming last night on the Steam channel. I had my games against Pyle on there, had some games with Valeris as well. Really cool stuff, man. I enjoy it. I really like that Besaki is pushing out content, because I don't get to watch a whole lot of Tooth and Tail content, right? Because I'm creating a lot of it, so it's refreshing to be able to kick back and watch replays get cast, if that makes sense. So anyways, guys, without any further ado, I think everything looks good. One last double check. We're not dropping any frames. I'll double check that maybe after the first replay. But other than that looks fine. And if you are a regular viewer, sorry we're starting a bit earlier, but the VOD will be there at the normal time and you can enjoy that. So let's hop into it, guys. Match number 1. Okay, spawning in the bottom right, we've got Bratmo. And his opponent up top to the left, Vincent. Alright, we see some moles this game. I'm getting excited. Bratmo did queue a farm up as he left. That's kind of a telltale sign. If you're scouting about and you find your opponent and they don't have this farm in production, and they just have the 4 that they start with, they're normally going for some mole shenanigans, so... Bratmo doesn't look like he's going to be doing anything like that this game. Those moles will still definitely be useful later on to reinforce some pushes in the early to mid-game. Uh-oh, Bratmo! Oh my god. Oh, both of them! Alright, I'm a little bit skeptical, man. Both did a 5-farm snake rush, which is totally crazy nonsense, man. And Vincent's even really... bold with his warren placement. Like, look at this. He's like, yeah, man, I don't care. I'm going to put it right on the edge of my territory just so I can get that snake in your face as fast as possible. And he's going for this snake pigeon style, which is really cool. Basically, the pigeons are going to give that snake a lot more survivability as it's out in the front lines trying to poke and prod on the opponent. And a snake, just one hit of poison on a tier 1 unit will knock it out. So typically what you'll see guys do with a snake rush like this is try to micro that snake forward and get a tag of poison, as we call it, on as many different tier 1 units as possible. But Bratmo here going for the lizards, and lizards have been performing very, very well against tier 2 in general, I feel like. Maybe chameleons are an exception to that, but something like a snake, you try to get in there and harass, right? And then you think that you're safe to retreat, but then all of a sudden these lizards come up with their faster movement speed, catch your snake and you lose your snake, and that's really, really not good. I'm surprised we haven't seen any aggression from either player with these openings. I think it was kind of a nod, since they both mirrored each other. Like, if you're gonna go for something like a 5-farm tier 2, you want to be very, very aggressive because you're putting your economy so far behind. However, since both players went for that crazy strategy this game, it might have just canceled out, if that makes sense. So they're like, yeah, well, I'm not gonna risk bringing my snakes out on the field and possibly losing them. So this game is gonna kind of stagger its way into an awkward mid-game where the economies are a bit slower than we normally see around the 230 mark. But both players still have some units here, and the poke is coming in. Now, poison does affect buildings, so this kind of harassment is fantastic from Bratmo. Yeah, technically he didn't get anything done there, but if he comes back, does that a couple more times before this Warren heals up, all of a sudden he snipes a tier 2 Warren, and that's a very good thing to do. So moving on in this game, lots of tier 1 coming out from Bratmo. I love this from Bratmo, to be honest, with the lizards. However, I haven't even commented because this game has been so weird on the fact that Vincent doesn't have the squirrels, man. Like, it's kind of weird. Bratmo doesn't have squirrels either, but it's a little bit more forgivable since he has lizards, right? But you typically don't want to just run lizards by themselves as a core tier 1 unit, because if your opponent has toads, like you see Vincent here does, then those lizards are much worse, as lizards tend to clump up a lot when they move around, and the AoE explosions from the toads normally can just devastate a pack of lizards very, very cleanly. Jet with the host. Thanks, man. It's an auto host, but you know what? I still appreciate it. I still appreciate the love, man. Alright, nice attack from Bratmo. Actually comes in and just bops that campfire immediately. Some good toad connections did get off on the pack of lizards here, but Bratmo still got the momentum. That last toad connection hitting those tier 2 is exactly what Vincent needed to push Bratmo off for now. But Bratmo's done some good damage here. I'm a little bit worried he might overextend. He needs to be careful, but he really wants to get another pig or two if he can. Decides he can't get it, backs out for now. Yeah, I still think that attack went well for Bratmo. It would have been even better if he didn't do the follow-up attack, but I get it. He just kind of smelt blood in the water and was like, maybe I have enough to just win right here, right? Yeah, and this is where that tier 2 Warren placement is really going to come back and bite Vincent as those Warrens go down very, very quickly, so forward to the base. And now Bratmo is on top of these snakes, and he even sees this tier 3 Warren. I was going to say Bratmo could easily target fire that down, but Vincent sells it instead. And I think this is too much damage here. We're going to see a Bratmo win. Which we do see Bratmo wins, but Vincent and Bratmo submit like basically every show, and I feel like most of the time we see Vincent win, but we're gonna see a Bratmo victory here as the snake stacks, get on that gristmill, it gets knocked down, and Bratmo takes the game. That was awesome. Good way to start the night. See, I like starting with Vincent and Bratmo because they normally do crazy shenanigans like that. Okay, so this is a new player submitting for the first time, so real excited about that. Let's hop into match number 2 here. Okay, spawning in the bottom, we've got Miss Clicker. And his opponent to the right, Cena. Alright, let's take a look at these compositions. So, I like this split from both players here. Cena is going a little bit hard on tier 2. Kind of what Miss Clicker has is the quote-unquote like ideal deck composition with 2 tier 1, 2 tier 2, a tier 3, and a defensive structure. Ideal is kind of a strong word. It's more like design intended, if that makes sense. But Cena's variant here is certainly fine. You know, running the 3 tier 2, or as I call it, like a cavalcade of tier 2. He's just got all those options there. And going with the boar, which the boar is still a strong tanky AoE unit, but I think at the high level, the consensus is out at the moment on this balanced patch. Boar is probably the weakest tier 3, but that's still, I mean, being the weakest tier 3 is like being the worst, you know, football team in the NFL or something. They're still really good, right? So a little bit of a safe Warren coming out from both players. I don't think it's really a sign of aggression. You know, just going 6-7 farm into a Warren rather than going straight to the 8. It's just safe against 4 or 5 farm doubles if you don't scout them in time. But typically, I feel like the 8 farm is normally the better way to go, but we see high-level players, you know, Chip comes to mind especially, that really do prefer getting down that safe Warren just in case. And, you know, the difference in economy from going, you know, 6 farm, 7 farm Warren versus straight up to 8 farm is not super big. I wouldn't say it's negligible, you know, if you go 8 farm rather than 5 or 6 farm. In the early game, I think in the first few minutes you'll wind up with an extra 20 or 40 food or something like that. I don't know the math exactly, but that could come into play, man. You know, very evenly matched engagement, and one guy's got a couple extra squirrels or something like that. Could be a big deal. All right, so a tier 2 build coming out from Cena. Pretty normally timed there. Gonna go for some skunk. Maybe some aggression. Skunk's kind of an interesting unit in the meta right now. It doesn't really. Like, going for the skunk build like this it's not a very big tell, if that makes sense. Like, you could build some skunks and be aggressive, or you could just try to build some skunks to get out on the map a little bit and claim some bases. And speaking of this map, man, it looks very bad for Cena here, as Cena doesn't really have access to any expansions early on in the game. He can get out on the base and get some expansions going, maybe try to split the map like this, you know, pick up those... you know, go up to a total of 3 bases eventually. But as a consolation prize, he does have these campfires, and if he goes for an early, you know, 1 to 2 base play and tries to build, you know, gets those couple campfires, that can make a very big deal. Oh, Misclicker! How does he not see that tier 3? He was literally like right on the edge, man. Okay, does he see it now? Yeah. Yeah, he sees it now, so he knows a boar is on the way. And yeah, it looks like Cena just wants to wait for that boar. Not like a super greedy tier 3. Almost like the natural progression build here from Cena. It is pretty interesting. Like, you know, 2 tier 1 into a tier 2, into a couple more tier 1 into a tier 3. So yeah, he's going to have a very strong 1 base push here shortly. And I like the addition of the campfire as well. I do like this decision to go up to another tier 2. I saw him kind of flirting with the idea of building like multiple tier 2. I don't think that would have been correct. Sells off the Warren to get the boar going. That's also a very strong thing to do. You don't want to, especially with units like your tier 3, you really want to make sure that they're not blocked. Their production isn't being delayed and they're in the red because you're waiting for money. 9 times out of 10, especially with a quick tier 3, you really want to sell a Squirrel Warren or something like that and get that production going. So I like that move. Meanwhile, Miss Liquor is putting together a really great counter to this style, I feel like. Just trying to mass up a ton of Falcons as that boar cannot hurt the Falcon. Basically, the boar, it's got the most HP in the game out of any unit. Very tanky, a little bit slow. And he's got this big flamethrower that deals a lot of AoE damage, mainly designed to deal with your opponent's tier 1. And then when the boar dies, he explodes and deals some additional damage. But that explosion doesn't hurt air anymore. And Cena's not in position, actually. And Misclicker's going to come over with these Falcons and snipe that tier 3 Warren. Now, the tier 3 is already on the board for Cena. And this is actually pretty bad for Misclicker if he gets caught out with these Falcons. Falcons are basically glass cannon units. He needs those other units to buffer for him on the ground and tank some damage. Misclicker does kill the boar here for Cena, but loses all of his Falcons in the process. Yeah, I think Misclicker should have just moved out with the squirrels too, right? He could have at least like backed up and maybe tried to take the engagement, but you know, Falcons by themselves, man, they don't have a lot of HP. They die fairly quickly, but they do a lot of damage if you can keep them on the back line, keep them tanked up in the front. And I think Cena's playing this great. He realized, you know, he's in a position with momentum, so he's just building a lot of tier 1 because he can get those units out quickly. He also hasn't slouched on taking an expansion. Now, really, you could argue if he didn't take this expansion, he probably could have built enough to just go win the game right then and there. But I don't mind this style play. You know, he's just trying to get more ahead when he's ahead and progress the game. And he's just got a monumental advantage over Misclicker at this point. He's almost like playing with his food here. But it's difficult. I mean, it's really hard to understand how far ahead you are in the game sometimes. You know, I mean, it's really easy for us when we have like these army graphs and we have all the vision on the map and stuff, but you're playing, in any RTS game, you're playing with limited information, right? So you definitely gotta make sure to keep that in mind when you're watching replays. Alright, Miss Looker's actually getting a lot of damage on with these ferrets. I think Cena might be a little bit too timid, to be honest. This is great. This is a very big bluff, what Miss Clicker's been doing out on the map here. You know, knocking out all the infrastructure over here, knocking out this campfire. You know, if Cena would have called that bluff, I think he could have basically won the game. But he is a newer player, so he doesn't realize that kind of stuff just yet. And Miss Clicker's just trying. He understands that he's behind. So I actually don't mind this play at all, because when you're behind, you gotta take a risk, right? So Miss Glicker is kind of conceding, like, yeah, I might get punished for this and just lose the game, but I gotta do something, because if I do nothing, then I'm gonna lose the game anyways, right? And some of these Falcons are starting to get out, which would be huge for Liquor here. And Licker's getting his second base going, but the income advantage for Cena is very real. Now, Cena did lose basically every single Warren here. Nice target firing coming down. So he really needs to win this fight hard, as he just doesn't have any production to reinforce this push. But it looks like he broke Miss Licker's back, and I don't see this game lasting too much longer. Oh, Licker's selling some things off. Is he gonna try to hold on? Let's fast forward a little bit here, because this has got to be over, right? Let's see it. He wants to target fire down that snake if possible, but that healing from the pigeons makes it very difficult. That's absolutely too much damage, and Liquor taps out, and Cena wins the game against a very good player, so well done. All right, match number 3. Let me check my stuff. We're good, guys. Not dropping any frames. What's up, Steam chat? What's up, everybody in Twitch? How's it going, guys? Good to see you, Jet. I don't get to hang out with Jet as much as I like to, man, because he lives in such a different time zone. So it is nice when I can do things early from time to time. See more of the European guys in the mix. All right, match number 3. Also a newer player here. Spawning on the right, we've got Midgar, 1092, and his opponent to the left, Triff. Midgar just joined the chat, was like, hey, it's me. So, alright, what do we got going on here? Midgar is running 2 turrets, so kind of or 2 defensive structures, rather. Kind of a contained strategy. This was popular a couple months ago. There was a really strong build you could do with turrets and balloons and maybe a tier 3. I would throw the Fox in there because why not? And, you know, essentially with this kind of play, it's a little bit of a bad example in this map, but, you know, what Midgar would like to do, ideally, is get to the point where he's got a really strong push happening here, and here are the battle lines, right? Then all of a sudden take this gristmill and put Triff under an enormous amount of pressure, start trickling in turrets, start placing a balloon, and develop a nice contain, and try to keep his opponent from being able to expand on the map. Once you have your opponent in a contain, man, it's basically just like a chokehold, right? Like, it's really interesting. There's a lot of different ways you can play Tooth and Tail, and I really appreciate the styles that are really about map control. Because it's almost like you put your opponent in such a hard position when you do gain that map control, right? Where, you know, if there's 8 gristmills on the map, and through positioning and timing and bullying out there of my opponent, I've been able to split the map in a way where I have 5 bases, you have 3. It's like, great, I don't have to do anything anymore, right? Like, I can just sit back and you know, keep playing well. And eventually I'll just have a lot more stuff than you. And then if you're the player who's got the short end of the stick on where the map split, then you've really got to think of something. Like, it's on you, you know. You're the protagonist in that story. You got to think, all right, man, how am I going to get in there and stop this eventual, you know, just massive amount of economy from my opponent. So Midgar threw up a couple turrets and then went straight 8 farms. This is a totally crazy build, man, but he might actually get away with it. Turrets aren't super strong. They are good, but you need like support units to help them out. So with these additional couple turrets coming in, that's going to be nice. But even I feel like with these 6 squirrels and 2 falcons, Triff could come up here and knock these turrets out and, you know, not take crazy losses. Dude, Midgar I don't know if this is like a point he's trying to make or something, man. There you go. Now he's starting to build some units, but hey, man, almost 3 minutes into the game, fully saturated second base without a single Warren. That's pretty awesome. So, normally you don't want to build this much defense in the early game. If I was gonna give some recommendations here to Midgar, I would say, you know, kind of the macro style is very powerful, but you could do kind of basically what you did here with some tier 1 Warrens and maybe just like 1 turret. But even the 1 turret, like what I try to do in situations like this is really keep an eye on my opponent, you know, as I'm macroing up, because turrets build really fast. So you can, I mean, it's kind of a bad example on this map because the rush distance is so small, but on most maps, if you're staying on top of what your opponent's up to, you can kind of realize, okay, now he's moving out for an attack, get home and build some turrets, like at the last clutch moment. But Midgar, man, is doing some crazy stuff this game. Lots of tier 2 coming out. He's going to go up to 6 snakes and a few pigeons to heal him up and try to keep him nice and healthy on the front lines. Triff trying to grab the space over here just mainly as a dominance move in this game, trying to claim as much territory as possible. I like the concept of what he's doing here, but it's incredibly risky. And Midgar, once he does eventually scout that, he should have no issue going over there, knocking out that gristmill and any of the farms. Midgar with a nice little push in, but loses a couple snakes. I think he killed a tier 2 of his opponents, right? I could be wrong. Oh, darn it. I tried to cheat and look at my my replay. But it my instant replay, rather. And and I was too late. I realized that like way later than I should have, because, you know, I have my Twitch broadcast open and muted so I can kind of watch the chat and you know, all that kind of stuff. So if I miss something, I can like look over real quick and see like a 3-4 second delay. All these turrets here from Midgar, man. If only he had some owls or something. But another issue too with turtling up so hard in Tooth and Tail is that your bases don't last very long, right? Like, this is a nice position for Midgar for now, but, you know, if Triff is able to get a third base up and running, which he does have, you know, and really just start ecoing up super hard, it's like, you know, yeah, you've got this 2 base position, you're locked up nice and tight. Oh, gets the snakes out. That's very important. But it's not. It's gonna slowly get worse and worse over time. I do think if Midgar had that amount of money and that he's got in turrets and lizards at the moment, he might actually win this fight. And as it looks, Triff is gonna run over this. And now I think the tables are turned, right? Like, I don't think Triff ever has to attack into this contain from Midgar. You know, Triff can sit back, you know, take his third base, just keep an eye on this base and not let Midgar take it. And then now all of a sudden Midgar's in this position where he's the one who's got to get something done. You know, otherwise Triff will just be 3 base versus 2 base and eventually win with numbers. Yeah, it's totally Midgar's first ranked game here, so I'm just trying to give a few tips. Go easy on him in the chat, guys. But I like the spirit of this build, man. Building a lot of turrets is really cool, and it's weird. Like, I'm normally a Fox player, right? And in the Fox versus Owl matchup, Owls are very, very powerful against the Fox. But what you can do, if you do have the Fox, and you've got turrets in your setup, then you can just build a huge turret wall and get to the point where those mice just come in and get mowed down before they get anything done. Okay, Triff trying to find the angle, but again, Triff needs to be careful. He's actually bleeding stuff off slowly but surely. But as I say that, the skunk goes down for Midgar, so makes it a bit more of a worthy trade. But Midgar with some good game sense here. realizes, okay, Triff is up top trying to hit my side. I'm just gonna move in and take that second base, and that was actually an enormous victory here for Midgar, because now Triff's economy is basically reset. You know, main bases have mined out by this point. Triff only has a couple farms on the second. He does have this campfire, which is nice, but Triff is also really trying to take the space too much. I think that's incorrect. I think Triff should basically agree with the map split how it is, but hey, hold that thought. We're coming in again as Midgar approaches Triff for another battle. So far, his lizards went down very quickly, so only the tier 2 is left. That skunk gas is doing a ton of work to all those snakes, and basically most of the armies trade, and Triff is going to come out on top a little bit there. But yeah, I think from Triff's perspective, instead of trying to take this gristmill, like, I understand why he's trying to take it. He's trying to take it to deny it from Midgar, right? But he can kind of just keep an eye on it, if that makes sense, rather than trying to take that base, because it's very, very easy for Midgar with this position to just walk a little forward. Hell, I think he could even just build a turret right there, and that'd probably be in range of that gristmill, right? This is looking rough for Midgar, man. He's starving, and it takes 20 seconds to build a gristmill, so he needs to get a gristmill going right now. It looks like he's going to have time to stay in this game. He needs to position his army over to the side right here. Also, too, just as a tip, he could also sell off most of these turrets here in balloons, maybe keep 1 or 2, and that would help him get some additional lizards. Lizards are actually very, very powerful in this game, as I feel like they do well against basically everything in Triff's deck composition here. All right, man, so this is the last stand for Midgar. He really, really can't lose this base. Triff comes in for an engagement. Very nice target fire here for Midgar, though. Really focus firing down those important tier 2 units first. That made an absolute huge difference in that fight. And Midgar wins that fight handily. And now he's sitting pretty, man. Now he's not starving anymore. He's got some farms on the way, and he's going to keep this aggression going. That's going to be it. Triff taps out. Midgar takes the game. Yeah, that was awesome, man. I think he played well. Just my advice would be, you don't need as many turrets. But I like how you played that, though, because it's very rare you see a guy get up to 2 base fully saturated without throwing down a warrant. That impressed me. Sad thing is I want to be KSR, says Midgar. Why would you want to be KSR? They're like the worst faction. I just said that to trigger Jet. Listen, Jet, maybe I haven't updated my events section. I actually do need to update those. I really want to get that new skin and mods website down there. Yeah. No, so those of you that don't know, guys, the factions in Tooth and Tail are just for fun in multiplayer. It's a big part of the story mode. So whoever you pick, Hopper as the common folk, Bellified as the Longcoats, Archimedes for the civilized, and the Quartermaster for KSR. It doesn't affect the gameplay at all. It's just, you know, basically the color of your units, the music that plays. But in the community, we all kind of pick a faction, and it's a friendly rivalry. So I just triggered everybody in the chat. They say KSR is the worst. I'm a common folk. I like Hopper, as you can see on my background. Anyways, guys, enough jabbering on. Let's hop into match number 4. All right, spawning on the left, we've got Saga. And his opponent to the right, Big Pimpin' Tosh. Okay, I actually really like both these decks coming out for both players here. You know, I feel like Fox pairs better with Turret than it does Balloon. But I don't hate the Balloon here. I think it's fine with Balloon. I think Turret is just better because Fox is really the main tier 3 that you might be going... You at least want to have in your Gambit the capability to go for an early Fox, as Fox is kind of this... It's got a really early power spike, right? Like super, super strong in the early game and starts petering off later. And so having the turret kind of synergizes, in my opinion, with going for a Fox rush because you can build some clutch turrets to defend an attack if your opponent comes in and tries to beat you on you know, try to all-in you before your tier 3 is finished. And Saga also going pretty light on the tier 1, just to have more tier 2 options here. I don't hate it though. I mean, Squirrel Skunk, it gives you a very powerful early game. I feel like Saga's got a lot of different builds he can go for within his deck. He can go for, you know, the fast Fox Rush. He could go for a Skunk Squirrel Push. You can go for some Ferret harassment early on. I feel like the Ferrets, when you throw in a Ferret as like a third tier 2 pick, it's almost just like a tech card. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, just in case I need to siege, or just in case, you know, they build too many turrets or something. But hold that thought as Tosh is coming in for some aggression. And these Warrens, this is kind of unfortunate for Saga having this high ground spawn next to him, because your first few Warrens you normally want to place where your pigs can protect them, right? In this instance, when you're on the high ground like this, there's another school of thought that's like, well, it's probably better to just place them on the high ground. That way you kind of secure this high ground, because if your opponent gets up in here, right, and he's right on this ledge and is firing down at you, that is no bueno. And meanwhile, Tosh just decided to go for some aggression this game. Kind of similar vein, though, where he just was trying to secure this high ground outside of his base. But placing his Warren so far forward, you know, and it also makes a lot of sense, too, on this map. This map is so tiny. You really are not... this map is kind of going to dictate a few of your builds, if that makes sense. Like, it's going to scratch some things off the list. Like, you probably don't want to go for a tier 3 rush or try to macro up super hard in a situation like this, because if your opponent just builds, you know, 12, 15 squirrels and knocks on your door with that such a short rush distance, you know, you basically just lose the game right there. All right, where are we going to go this game? Tosh is getting up that Skunk. Meanwhile, Saga is getting the Ferret. So we're going to go into some Skunk Ferret mid-game aggression. I think this is a fun matchup to watch. I think it favors the Skunk a little bit, but the Ferret certainly can hold this off with some good control. You see, like right there, that Ferret hit on that Skunk was ideal for Saga. Knocks it out. But so much gas is doing a ton of damage here for Tosh. However, Saga... You know, Saga hit both those Skunks with his Ferret, so that was actually very, very good for him. He did lose some Warrens there, so don't count Tosh out. And if Tosh can get these Ferrets, nice micro from Saga, keeping those Ferrets alive at the last second. But, I mean, both players took some decent damage in that first fight, right? Like, Tosh lost both his tier 2, and Saga lost a couple of Warrens. But I'd probably rather be on Saga's side of it, you know? Tier 2 in these situations are so important. Oftentimes... games are won or lost on the back of, you know, who can take out their opponent's tier 2. Nice target right there from Tosh, knocking out a Ferret from Saga. That's very important. As Saga's going to move forward, he thinks he's got enough momentum at this point, and he might, because since it's been so scrappy and Tosh has been constantly replacing his tier 1 units, he hasn't had time to build the Skunks, and so they're coming back out a little bit late. First one is going to get here, but Tosh has had... He's enjoyed a nice little portion of this engagement where he had tier 2 and his opponent didn't, right? So definitely helped him out. Oh, that hero Skunk, man, getting so low yet staying alive. Eventually goes down. Ferret goes down for Saga as well. And Tosh is going to back it up for a second. Yeah, overall, I like Saga's position, though, but it's... Man, Skunks are so good in situations like this. You really can't count Tosh out, right? Like, if he gets some really good gas clouds, does a ton of damage to squirrels, and keeps those Skunks alive with some nice tanking, you know, try to move those Skunks forward of his army, tank the hits, heal them up with the pigeons. But it's a very careful dance you gotta do when you do things like that, as you don't want to target fire down, as he sees Saga immediately target fire down that forward Skunk. So it's a little bit of a high-risk, high-reward play, I feel like, to move the Skunks forward of your army to tank, because... they definitely can't get picked off, but man, all the tier 2 going down for both players here. And Saga is going to push Tosh back again, but they're actually really, really neck and neck at the moment. If you look at their income and what they've got on the board and how many Warrens they have, it's very, very even. But Tosh actually got the upper hand in this engagement in the last like 10 or 15 seconds because he's been target firing and Saga hasn't. And Target firing matters so much in these small numbers, man. You don't, it's kind of a critical point, like when you get too many squirrels, I mean, I don't know, some people might disagree with me, but I feel like when armies get too big, like if you have 20 squirrels or something like that, or 18, you're kind of wasting damage by targeting individual squirrels of your opponent at that point. You still want to target fire down like the tier 2 and tier 3 and stuff, but if it's like 6 squirrels versus 6 squirrels or something, definitely want to target fire. Delthius, you need a mod from every faction to remain truly neutral, says Skyraider. That's a really good point. You know, most of my mods... What's Skyraider playing nowadays? Aren't you Longcoats? I didn't even think about it, but... I mean, Premium Bow is my main mod. He's KSR. Jet's KSR. He's a mod. Yeah, Skyraider's Longcoats. That's what I thought. Mishi's a mod. He's Common Folk. I should make the Gentleman a mod. If he wants the power. But he's Longcoat too. Who's civilized nowadays? Is Chip civilized? Chip's a mod if he's civilized, so there you go. I'll have to check my mod list. Is Chip not playing for civilized? I don't know, you guys. Match number 5 here. Let's hop into a team game. Ooh, nighttime map. Okay, spawning in the bottom, we've got Question Mark and Premium Bow. And their opponents to the left, Mr. Don Den Don and 5926266318. We'll call him 59 for short. Alright. Alright. Anything crazy gonna happen? Well, look at Premium Bow's deck. I mean, it's already madness. He's just got Mole Wolf and a bunch of defense. I love it. Let's see if old P-Boop here is gonna try to do some mole aggression. Looks like he does. Mr. Don Den Don doesn't see it yet. Oh no! Oh my god. The mole's gonna be here for Premium Bow. And it's moving in. Nice! Nice control for Premium Bow for not having that, for not being there. Like, he just controlled that mole off instinct, basically. Brings it back. Ineffective mole push from Premium Bow. Happens from time to time. So... that's going to be good for blue and green. That's going to slow Premium Bow down a little bit as he had to spend that 60 food to build the mole. And he will eventually get that 60 food back, but he's going to have to wait some time for that mole to regenerate first. Me and Doohoo are running Civilized. Oh, Chip used to be Civilized. I think he was in first season. I don't know. Alright, Premium Bow going for a fast expansion here and a whole lot of money. Is he going for the wolf? Of course he's going for the wolf. Ow! Yeah, alright. I would have felt really stupid for that howl if the warren didn't get placed. Okay, so we got a fast wolf here from Premium Bow. Got a pretty quick ferret here for his ally. And on the other side of the map, nothing super crazy. They're just kind of building, having some fun, man. Mimium Bow. That's pretty good. I like Mimium Bow. Alright, expansion coming up for Question Mark here. As this game progresses, it looks like there's not going to be a ton of action here in the early game. Players are just trying to macro up at the moment. And once Premium Bow gets that wolf out, man, that's going to be a really big deal. And if you notice, he's kind of trying to save his money. He lines that up very nicely. As you see, the wolf is only in the red for maybe a second or two there and starts production. So in 2v2, it's very, very important to control the map. You want to try to split the map favorably. And we can kind of get in that situation I was talking about before, where then you kind of put the onus on your opponent to really be the one who has to make a move and pull something off. Like, imagine if yellow and red stretch their tentacles out all the way, you know, to a line like this, right? And just grab everything there. Then it's like green and blue only have 2 bases, and their enemies right outside the front. They gotta get something done. And red and yellow have phenomenal economies at this point. Green and red aren't playing bad. You know, they're just kind of playing It's almost like a regular wind-up, if that makes sense, you know? Like, they got out some units, and now they're getting second bases and, you know, putting some farms on them. Nothing crazy. They didn't go straight A farm, but meanwhile, Premium Bow is a madman. Is just like, I'm going to go straight, you know, straight 16 farms into a wolf. The wolf is out here for a P-boop, and for the moment, it's just buffing up the pigs, making them mine faster. Farm faster, I should say. And, yellow, like I said, man, yellow and red are just gobbling up this map, and it doesn't seem like a lot is going on in this game, but there actually is. Like, red and if this keeps up at this pace, then blue and green are just gonna be, you know, monumentally behind in the next couple minutes. All right, a little bit of a push here from Question Mark. Needs to be careful, though. You don't really want to push out by yourself in 2v2 matches, and especially, I mean, look how much money Question Mark has invested in economy. Oh, my God. Hold that thought. Well, and also the 2 artillery cannons, but Premium Bow is saving up quite a bit of money here. Now, I'm a nice nerd, and I understand not every replay submission I get is competitive, right? So if somebody's floating some food, I normally just don't say anything about it. And if you don't understand what I mean by that, guys, in any RTS game, you want to try to spend your money as quickly as possible. I mean, it's almost better to just spend your money on anything, right, rather than not spend it at all. And this is way too excessive of a float, however, from Premium Bow, and the reason is he wants to build just an absolutely ridiculous amount of moles here. Wait, dude, buff up those moles, man, with the wolf. I don't know if I've ever seen wolf buff moles before. Look at this! He's even building some in the main base of his opponent. Yeah, dude. We're about to see something like 60 moles hit the board at least. It's gonna be bananas. We call this a tactical float, says Lord Iris. Oh, man, I like that. Oh, yeah, here comes the buffed up moles, man. What just went? Okay, the main base just went down to some moles. Mole. I can't say more moles. Why was that so difficult? I wanted to say moles more. Mole mores here. Dude, so much money. Just do it, man. Just build like 100 moles. He couldn't quite get 100. He could get about 50, right? 100 moles? That would be 6,000 food. So he could get up to like 50 moles at the moment if he really wanted to. That's what I want to see. I don't know about you guys. I would love to see 50 moles. He sells off his moles because, you know, 2,000 bank, 3,000 bank isn't enough. He's trying to get these numbers up, man. Those are rookie numbers. He's trying to hit 5K. So many artillery cannons from Question Mark, too. Alright, let's do a little bit of interpolation. So if 6,000 food is 100 moles, right? That math is correct, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. I've had a long day, you guys. So he could build, you know, like 2/3, so like 60, 70-ish moles right now if he really wanted to. Alright, where are they at? Where is he? Okay, a few moles up here. Just sprinkling some moles on the map. He's kind of Bob Rossing these moles, man. Just a little bit here, a little bit there. Oh, he's going to bring these moles over. And meanwhile, where are the rest of the moles going to come down? No, these poor moles. Giving their life for nothing. Mole-mageddon. Somebody asked in the chat, why can you build moles in enemy territory? There's 2 units in the game, as Cold War Gates pointed out, moles and mines that can be built anywhere on the map. You know, blue and green might actually push this. Like, Premium Bow, you need to get it done, man. And I like this a lot. He was kind of waiting for blue and green to move their units out, right? Because even 20, 30 moles, man, like, they're not going to beat this powerhouse of an army from his opponents. But if he can be sneaky, he's trying to hit multiple places at once. But blue sniffs it out, and he's coming home to defend. There's so many more moles coming from the bottom. Meanwhile, there's moles up top. There's moles everywhere on this map, man. This is absolutely insane. Now, Yellow took some pretty big damage. Premium Bo's really got to get something done here with these moles. I don't think he's got enough. He's going to get this gristmill. Oh, which would knock Blue out of the game if he gets it, and he's not going to get it either. Oh, man. Is Premium Bo going to lose? This is looking good for Green and Blue, man. You really can't lose this wolf here. Replace final mission with this. That'd be amazing. All right. All right. Yellow is trying to get things set up over here on the side. Oh, this is giving me... This is stressing me out, dude. It, like, almost worked. If he would have got this gristmill, that would have been huge because he would have knocked Blue out of the game. I think this base over here is pretty new. I think... Because in Tooth and Tail, you can still have structures on the board and lose. If you're not... mining, you go into starvation and you lose in 60 seconds. But if you lose all your gristmills and campfires, then you just lose immediately. And here we go. Green is going to come in here and deny this. You know, Green and Blue have a much better army at this point than Red and Yellow do. Oh, the Wolf Buff Moles. Here we go. P-Boop with the last bit of his bank here. Gonna try to come in here and be sneaky. Well played by 59 to take this gristmill, just because otherwise he would have just been knocked out. But Premium Bo can't really engage. Like, this mole army is not going to do well against what Green and Blue has here. He really needs to utilize just the sneak attack capability of these moles. Oh, I thought he was going to try to go for it. Yeah, Green and Blue are definitely getting the momentum, or the memo rather, as they're just taking as many gristmills as they can to prevent being knocked out. But Premium Bo with the runaround and the buffed up moles getting the additional speed. This artillery cannon is going to help, but Premium Bo might actually knock Green out. That's going to be huge. Oh my god, and he does! That was such a good play from Premium Bo. He ran over here, got Green and Blue to chase him, and then the Wolf gladly sacrificed, buffed up enough moles to run back over here with the additional speed, knock Green out of the game. So now Blue has no partner. However, Red and Yellow really don't have anything. Blue is still stronger than both his opponents combined at this point. But not having any squirrels in this army is going to make taking bases difficult. Like, he's got 3, but you know, he needs a whole lot more than that. Skunks cannot hurt buildings. So the moles are still coming in. Okay, Yellow, is Yellow like AFK or something? Oh no, he's up here. He's just in awe, man. He's just watching Premium Bo's strategy. Premium Bo with 4 moles. He's got another wolf. It's not with his army though. 4 moles is not going to be enough to get in there. He sells it all off. He's going to have to go home for now. Yellow does have this campfire. It's not represented in the pick count up top. So keep that in mind. That's all that's keeping Yellow in the game. Blue could knock this out and just knock out Yellow, and it looks like he's on the way to do that. Meanwhile, the miss micro on the wolf. Okay, Premium Bo notices and gets him out of there. That would have been huge if that wolf died. But Premium Bo's saving up enough money. Now's the time, man. He needs to get in position. He sells off the wolf. His partner dies, but Blue's army is all out of position here. It looks like Blue is going to try to go for the throat. However, P-Boop with the moles, with the extra base over here on the right. Oh, man, and Blue still doesn't know. He's like, yeah, my army's getting stuff done. All right, his army's on the way back. We're going to watch it from Mr. Don Den Don's perspective. He's like, okay, my army's coming. Does Premium Bo? Oh, here they come. Premium Bo moving in with the moles, but he's not target firing as his commander's not in position. He's moving his commander back now. Now, this won't kill his opponent, but more moles are on the way to knock out this last gristmill. Is it going to happen in time? Don Den Don's got a pretty decent army, man. Gets that tier 3 war, and that's a nice pickup, but that's not what P-Boop needs. He needs moles. He needs to kill this gristmill. Blue gets back in position to defend his base, though. Now, Premium Bo does have an economy. So there is that. But Premium Bo he's never going to be able to build an army, right? Like, he's just going to have these moles. So really what he's got to hope happens is that Don moves out of position to go attack, and then Premium Bo just comes in from an angle and finishes him off that way. Yellow is like a child in a candy store watching all the moles. Dude, alright, yeah, this is what I was talking about. Don's moving out, but he doesn't move out with everything. Preview bow. 8 more moles, man. They're gonna be coming soon. Yeah, and Don's out of position. Are his squirrels back? Yeah, he's still got a no. Does he not? He sold off his squirrels. P-Boop actually trying to take the fight here. Some more moles coming in from the side. I don't think he's got enough. Is Don gonna win this game? Premium Bo should just build. Oh, you know what the move is? I guarantee you he's doing it now. He's gonna build just 1 or 2 moles here, right, to threaten these warrens, and then he's gonna hope that Don moves his army over to defend these warrens, right? And then all of a sudden, the mole attack comes in and ends the game. But Don takes another base, so that makes things exponentially more difficult here for Premium Bo. Look at that mole in the left corner. He's stuck. Oh, yeah, you're right. That's hilarious. I wonder what's causing that. There he goes. Nice attack here by Don, just moving his falcons over to knock something out while keeping the rest of his army in position. I can't believe this game is still happening, man. Gonna pick up that tier 2. Warren, rather. And now Don knows to sell some stuff off, but P-Boop doesn't have any moles to hit the other side. Dude, I don't see how Premium Bo really wins this game anymore, man. Like, Don can just build an army, right? And Premium Bo can't. I mean, Mole Wolf doesn't count as an army. Might fast forward just a smidgen. Nice little play here by Don. Just going to move out with these falcons yet again. Try to prevent any additional Grismos going up from P-Boop here. Is he going to try it? I think, okay. I have a theory that maybe Premium Bo is kind of trying to be patient and let these pigs kind of farm out and start dying off so his moles are a little more effective. I could be wrong, though. Blue is gonna starve out, I'm calling it, says Red Dino. In what, 2 hours, says Warpgates? Yeah, basically, man. Most of the map is starting to get farmed. Now, there is like a hard timer on any game of Tooth and Tail. Okay, here's a double attack. Now, Don is a bit cognitive of this. He's just moving out with Falcons here to harass, but the main story is happening up top. Excuse me. Where P-Boop is attacking 2 bases at once. He's definitely going to get this left base, but it's his right base he really needs, and I feel like Don's mistake here is just the lack of squirrels, man. If he had some squirrels, this could be working. But those moles did die for P-Boop, and the rest of them are sold off. How is this game still a thing, you guys? Oh, and Premium Bo surrendered! Very close game, and green and blue take it. That was crazy. That was ridiculous. I need to take a very brief break, guys. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back in just a minute or two. What is up, everybody? I am back. I told you it would be a very brief bake. That premium bow was a fake. Hey, thanks for the follow, Snick. Alright. Where are we at? What are we doing? What year is it? Let me make sure everything is good. Looks like it. Good to see everybody. I appreciate my Twitch guys showing up a bit early. I apologize again, not at the normal show time tonight, but I think the European guys are happy about it anyways, and anybody who's not happy about it, they can just see the VOD at 8 o'clock and pretend like it's live, right? And what's up, everybody on Steam? Feel free to ask me any questions if you'd like. Who am I? I am Delthius. I cast and talk about Tooth and Tail quite a bit on Twitch. I'm normally involved with most of the tournaments that happen. I run this show twice a week, and I don't get to play as much as other guys do because I'm a busy adult with a job where I have to work a lot of hours. But I still do maintain a relatively high level of play as well. It's super fun, man. When I do get the chance to sit down and play Tooth and Tail, like, it's such a good night. And the games are so short. I just get addicted, man. Like, I can't do it. You know, some people can get on and play like 2 or 3 games in half an hour and be like, all right, I'm done with it. Like, oh man, if I start, dude, I'm gonna be playing all night. Match number 6, you guys. 2012 Dell, the world will end soon. You know, I was hoping it would, but alas, we're all still here. Anyways, guys, spawning to the right, we've got Bonk. And his opponent up top, Logical Fallacy. Bonk's another cool dude in the seed, man. He was super active near the beginning. Kind of took a break for a little while, and he started playing again recently. He always kind of submits really cool, silly games, so I always enjoy casting him. And Logical Fallacy, I think I've seen the name before. I kind of have a bad habit sometimes where I don't recognize the name either from Discord or seeing on the ladder or on my show or, you know, other Tooth and Tail type stuff. I kind of assume that they're new, which is not the case a lot of times. I've seen the name Logical Fallacy before, so I don't think he's a new player. And Bonk actually going for the 5-farm double with some lizards here. This is a good map for lizards, too. You know, not the best in the world, but he's got 2 entry points, and you always want that kind of stuff when you're the aggressor with lizards, because Logical Fallacy might be expecting stuff to come up through here, but Bonk runs around, you know, and hits from the back. It's very, very important to do that with lizards. I even, man, I was playing, Sakia casted my Tooth and Tail League Class S games yesterday. Hold that thought. Bonk's coming up, but Pyle had put a mine like right there where the lizard attack path was, and got a lot of value out of it. Nice little attack for Bonk, and you don't know what? No, a Logical Fallacy. Decides he's taking too much damage and taps out. Yeah, you really need to respond. I didn't comment on it as much as I should have. You know, it's such a fast game. I might actually point that out. But so scouting is very, very important in the early game. Typically, your first couple times, your first 2 to 3 times out on the map, you should be checking out what your opponent's doing, right? So Bonk is going to go for what we call 5-farm double. This is a pretty common aggressive opening. Essentially, Bonk is building 2 warrens, that's the double. You know, instead of going up to 8 farms off 5 farms. 5 farms is a nice number to do this off of because you have enough money to reinforce all your lizards relatively quickly. So Logical Fallacy needs to scout this. And the ideal response to a 5-farm double is if Logical Fallacy scouts it and then goes for a 6-farm double. So he hasn't, this is, and another thing too, I'm not trying to pick on Logical Fallacy just for newer players, but those first couple scouts, you need to go to your opponent's main base, right? Like, Logical Fallacy's first scout, uh-oh, what'd I do? Huh! I guess there's a bug with the vision. That's funny. But his first scout, he scouted Bonk, and he's like, okay, I know where he is. And then his second scout, he scouted the map. And so he doesn't actually see these 2 warrens here from Bonk coming out. and he built 8 farms, which is fine most of the time. And then with his third scout, again, he's scouting the map. And that's why scouting the first 3 times is very, very important, because scout 1 is just like, okay, I'm going to find out where they are, right? And then I'm going to check and see if they have a queued up farm. And if they don't, then they're going for something crazy. So it's just kind of the first check off your list. And then the second scout in, you're going to see what they're doing. So Logical would have seen these 2 Warrens here, and then he can respond. And he could say, okay, you went 5 farm double. I can go 6 farm double and get a little bit ahead. Vision is bugged when paused, says Premium Bow. Thank you. You're absolutely right. So that makes sense, right? But here's the thing. This is why you have to do the third scout. So the second scout, you're going to see if they're going for a 5 farm double, if they're going for a 5 or 6 farm Warren, or if they're going 8 farms. It's mainly the 3 openings that most people go for. But you want to scout again because your opponent can do mind games on you. Like, you can come in and scout and there's just 8 farms here, right? And then you leave and then they cancel the farms and build some Warrens. So there's actually a lot to the early game scouting and reading your opponent's build. So that's kind of why I wanted to stop and talk about this for a minute, because Logical Fallacy is doing like the normal opening here. He's just going 8 farms, 2 tier 1. And this build is designed to counter that, right? This is an aggressive build. In any RTS game, you kind of have the triad, I guess. Excuse my southern accent. of openers, right? Aggressive, safe, and economic, where aggressive beats economic, safe beats aggressive, and economic beats safe, if that makes sense. So this is just a textbook build order counter here. And Bonk comes in with the 5 farm double. He's got 6 lizards. Logical Fallacy has nothing. Bonk just starts getting an insane amount of damage done. Logical Fallacy realizes the game's over and taps out. And the reason I say the correct response to a 5 farm double is a 6 farm double is that you're giving yourself as many, basically by the time they get to your base, you know, they might have 1 or 2 units up on you, but the defender's advantage it'll be fine. You'll still be in the lead in that engagement. And since you snuck out an extra farm, you'll still be maintaining an economic lead, right? All right, long-winded, a little bit of rant there for your notepads. But that was actually a fantastic game to just kind of highlight some of the ins and outs of the early game. Get to 11 already. Oh, dude, who are these people? Those are cheesy names. Those are meme names. Those aren't real usernames here. For you guys who don't know, on the Steam chat, Premium Bow is my mod. That's what it is. Premium Bow Ring. There's another guy, James Bowring. So that's where that came from. And Premium Throwing is just funny. All right, guys. Anyways, enough chatting. Let's hop into match number 7. Did you like that, Jet? Did you like my analysis of the early game openings? Anyways, guys, on the left we've got Boofy, and his opponent to the right, Protocam. Yeah, Jet Erickson actually does replay casting as well, but his show is more geared. Jet's a higher level player than I am, and very, very strong. So his replay casting show is more geared towards like actually really breaking down builds and stuff like that. Where my show, we get into that kind of stuff as well, but we're also just kind of having fun. All right, Protocam going for a 5 farm mole opening. 12 matches for today only. I normally do 12 matches. I've just been doing a little bit more recently. But yeah, typically 12 matches equates to about 2 hours. It just depends on the length of the games, obviously. Especially because that last game was so quick. You know, that can change things up. But yeah, on average, 12 replays is about 2 hours. Nice little mole aggression there from Protocam. And we're just going to kind of go into the game from there. Nothing super crazy quite yet. We're going to have to see how these guys want to take it. I like this map. I know that sounds weird to say immediately, as you could say to yourself, well, Delthius, look at how many extra gristmills that Boofy has. And yeah, that is a thing, and that does, you know, suck for Protocam a little bit. But Protocam has a lovely high ground here, and he's got a second base. And really, in my opinion, as long as you have access to a relatively safe second base, you can't cry too much about the map gen. Now, it does, again, kind of put this kind of situation happens a lot in Tooth and Tail, which I think is really cool. You know, this map almost dictates that Protocam's the guy that's gonna have to get something done this game, where Boofy can kind of hang out, right? It's up to Protocam to stop Boofy from getting up to 3, 4, 5 base over here. And Protocam's got 2 base to do it. You know, when you got only 1 base to try to do something like that, yeah, it can be hard. It can be a little bit frustrating, but you know, he's got the 2nd base here. He's got this campfire. I think this is a doable map for Protocam. Now, granted, it still is better for Boofy, but and speaking of Boofy, here he comes in for an engagement, going to take advantage of that high ground. This is really going to come down to focus fire. And Boofy came in with a few more units, as Protocam, I believe, went for one tier 1 into tier 2, which is a little bit risky, as things like this can happen. I do think that's the right play. Oh, nice from Protocam. Re-stealthing this Chameleon, keeping it alive. But yeah, the 8 farms into 2 tier 1 into a tier 2 is kind of the safe way to get into a tier 2. You know, there's really not a whole lot your opponent can do about it. They can't really all-in you and bust you, but if you go for 1 tier 1 into tier 2, you do leave a little bit of a hole, right? Like if you go tier 1, tier 2, and your opponent goes 4 tier 1, for example, and they hit at the right time, they can get in there and really do some damage to you before your tier 2 get out. Nice target firing on these skunks from Protocam. His Chameleon Falcon combo really getting some work done. Does he keep this Chameleon alive? Oh man, Protocam, sign my mouse pad, bro. That Chameleon lives with 2 HP, and reptiles and amphibians regenerate faster than normal units do in your territory, so this Chameleon is going to be back up to full HP in no time. Alright, Protocam taking that 2nd base. Boofy is taking a 2nd base as well, but Protocam's in a very nice spot at the moment. He's down a couple squirrels, but he's got a ton more tier 2 than his opponent does, and he's going to try to take advantage of this move out on the map. Needs to be so careful with his skunks rather. That other skunk's going to go down, but that Chameleon does as well. But still, Protocam's in a good spot, but his commander dies. This is Boofy's chance to really focus fire down all these tier 2 units. That was very unfortunate for Protocam that his commander died, but that snake poison gets the gristmill. That's actually very nice for him. All this tier 2 is going to go down for Protocam, though. Just barely gets the snake out alive. But the snake might just die in this engagement. Yeah, there it goes. Jeez, man. Very nice focus fire here from Protocam, I feel like. Really, you know, prioritizing those skunks from his opponent, knocking them out as fast as he can. And what's Boofy gonna do? Now, we're almost at the 5-minute mark, so economies are gonna start tanking here shortly. And Protocam does have the campfire advantage, so keep that in mind. That really matters in this early phase of the game. No, just reptile. It's called reptile regen for a reason. Man, toads ain't reptiles. Now, there is a meme when that balance patch came out, because it just said reptiles get the regen rate, but toads got it as well, and then we're all just trolling in Discord like, toads are a reptile, lol. Alright, Protocam keeping the pressure up. He needs to be careful. There's a lot of squirrels for Boofy. I actually don't mind this. It's getting a little bit desperate for him, so sometimes the best thing to do is kind of go back to basics and see if you could just muster up enough squirrels to run over your opponent, but I don't think Boofy's got enough here. These chameleons are going to do phenomenal work on the front line. All this tier 2 remains. This is definitely too much damage. I wouldn't be surprised to see Boofy tapping out here shortly, especially as that base goes down again. Now Boofy is contained, and you know, Protocam's economy is going phenomenally at the moment. He's got his own 2nd base up and running. He's still reaping the benefits of this campfire. Boofy's gonna see that 2nd base and then tap out probably. Yeah, that makes sense, because he just wanted to make 100% sure. Like, yeah, his economy kept getting hit, but you know, hey, if my opponent isn't really mining that much more than me, then it doesn't matter, right? Everything's relative. So I think that makes sense that Boofy decided to GG after seeing his opponent had a nice, healthy economy. Hey, what's up, Zeno, in the chat? Xeno Coop, one of the legendary OGs of Tooth and Tail. Alright, where are we at? Match number 8. Let's get into it, guys. Okay, spawning on the bottom, we've got Amisria. And her opponent up top, Suppress, 81. Okay. What do we got, man? Amisria. Xeno just says not enough owls this game. Well, wish granted here, as Amisria does have owls in her deck. And she's also still got this barbed wire, man. I like it, man. Tip of the hat to me. That's almost like Amisria's flair, you know? Like, she's always got this barbed wire, which is really cool. A little bit underutilized, but I think the main reason is it can be very map dependent. I mean, depending on the map RNG, barbed wire can be phenomenal or not that useful at all, so some players tend to shy away from it, but I still think it does pretty decently in the current meta. So Suppress, pretty straightforward deck here. I like it. Squirrel, Toad, Falcon, Snake, Wolf. Not a whole lot of AoE. Well, I guess he's got the Toad, so there you go. And the Wolf is going to do a great job buffing up those Falcons. Meanwhile, Amisria running Squirrel, Lizard, which is fun. I actually enjoy both those playstyles a lot, to be honest. I try to change it up between the two, Squirrel, Lizard, and Squirrel, Toad. Lizards are just really, really fun to command, especially in small numbers. And I love the Ferrets. Ferrets are a very fun unit for me to play as well. Lots of micro involved, kind of poking, getting value over time kind of thing. But you don't always see, like, I think a Ferret rush is better than it used to be. It used to be back in the day, like, you can't rush Ferret. But now, going to Tier 1 into a Ferret, I think makes sense. Falcons are always nice to round things out later on. Or, you know, I think people kind of underrate Falcons in the early game, too, to be honest. Like, a couple Falcons that are well-controlled, that stay alive, and some scrappy small number engagements can really do a lot of damage. Alright, so actually nobody going for the Tier 2 rush this game, which is probably the most common build. Instead, we're seeing more and more Tier 1 from both players. And this is not looking good for Amisria. She's seen the Toads, so she needs to back off on these Lizards a little bit. Sell down to maybe 3 or 6 of them and try to get up more Squirrels. But instead, she's going to hang on to Lizards for now, start getting some barbed wire going, maybe think about taking another base. And this map does kind of look better for Amisria if she can claim this territory. It's really going to be all about who can claim this gristmill, right? But even if Supras gets up here and claims this gristmill, it's still going to be a hard game for him, because then his next expansion's there. And if Amisria gets up here, claims this high ground, claims this gristmill, then that's basically curtains for Supras as he'll be contained in. Alright, fast Owl coming out for Amisria. Meanwhile, a fast Wolf from Supras. Not like the craziest, you know, risky Tier 3 rush, but a pretty quick Tier 3, nonetheless. I think the correct time for a Tier 3 is like when you're like halfway saturated on the second base, you know, got a lot of Tier 1, probably got a couple Tier 2 out, then it's just like, alright, that's kind of the natural progression into Tier 3, I should say. Correct's a strong word, because I go for Tier 3 rushes all the time. It's not that it's incorrect to build it earlier, but the Wolf should be better than the Owl straight up. However, I do want to note as well, Amisria did tech switch out of the Lizards into Squirrels, which is very necessary when you see the Toads of your opponent. But here's the thing, like, when the Owl gets out, Supras really needs to sell off his Toads, because otherwise those Toads will run into the free mice from the Owl, and that's not good when you're trading free units for units that cost money, right? And then that could possibly give Amisria a window to go back into Lizards after those Toads have been sold off. That would be really cool to see. Supras going to take this base because he needs to take a base somewhere, and he probably doesn't feel confident enough to take this middle base, as it's very, very pushable from Amisria. So decides to just kind of expand over to the side a little bit and get it going over there for the time being. All right. The Owl's out, and the Wolf is almost here, but one Owl is not the most crazy thing in the world, but oh man, killing off all those Toads immediately is so good. Like, super ass, man. Sell off those Toad Warrens. I don't want to pick on guys too often that don't do it, but because it can be hard in the heat of the moment, man, to remember things like that. But that's my #1 tip, man. If you are a Toad user, you run into owls, sell those Toads, man. You got to do it. From one Toad bro to another. Nice harassment there on just using the mice, the free units here that the owl produces to deal some damage. Superass is going to use this as an opportunity to move in, though, which is a good idea, as the mice are, you know, a pretty comparable amount of Amishia's army. Without having those mice up on the front line, this owl is really not doing a whole lot in the fight. And no, Superass, very nice for Superass there. Knocks out that owl for Amisha. This attack is going very well for him. He needs to get a lot of damage done here. Trying to tank with this wolf, but needs to be careful. The wolf is only down to 9 HP. It might die here. It's gonna go down. But he takes out the second base in the process. He's moving in still. This might be an overextension, but he really wants to get a couple more kills before he moves back. He's got these buffed up falcons still from the wolf. He'd love to target fire down that owl. I don't think he's got enough damage at the moment for it, though. Owl should win. Don't contradict me, Dill. Hey, what's up? Everybody in the chat. What's up, Protocam? Yeah, early show today, guys. My wife streams as well, and I just want to try to end the show around when she's going to start. That way, we're not lagging. Normally, it's not an issue, but yesterday it was. I think it's because I'm doing the dual stream thing on both platforms. Alright, both players are starving. This is getting really scrappy. Superass sold off his Wolf Warren. I like that a lot. But man, dude, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I really feel like Superass might have had enough to win this game if he would have sold off those Toads. Oh, he might actually get some good Toad hits here now that the mice are gone. Can he get him up on the squirrels? Yeah, one Toad connects fairly well. The other Toad tries to get in but doesn't quite make it in time. Denies that base from Amisha, though. However, Amishia's got this other base on the low ground, but really doesn't have a whole lot left besides this owl and a few squirrels. She's got the defender's advantage here, though. That Gristmill is going to help tank. Protocam really needs to focus fire. Is Amisha barely going to have enough to hold off? She might. And Superass has to win now. He's beyond the point where he can build something, get out of starvation, basically. I guess he could take a campfire, but it's a little too late. Superass is going to starve out, and Amisha is going to win. A very close, scrappy game. Oh, did I say Protocam? Whoops. No, that happens, guys. See, when you're talking constantly, you'll make mistakes from time to time. Oh man, the problem was I didn't even realize I said it. I was just looking at Protocam's name in chat in my brain, you know, just made the association. My bad, you guys. All right, match number 9. All right, we got a free-for-all, ladies and gentlemen. Spawning in the bottom, we've got Pingu. His opponent to the left, KSR Division Commander, a.k.a. Gabany. And to the top, Red Dino. Alright, so we are in a free-for-all situation now. Free-for-all is kind of weird. Obviously, right? Because it's kind of like, there's two ways you can play a free-for-all. You can play a free-for-all to have fun, or you can play a free-for-all to win. Right? Because think about it. If the fun thing is killing somebody, obviously. Like knocking out one of your opponents. So, if yellow and green just started fighting one another, and Red Dinosaur is left alone, you know, these guys will eventually kill each other off or weaken each other, and Red Dinosaur will just become enormous. So, it's kind of weird in free-for-all. It's like, you don't want to attack, almost, for a pretty long time. You want to hope that your opponents are kind of fighting at each other, and you can come in later when they're both weakened and win. Or at the very least, you want to get something out like a fox or something where you can deal damage without trading army. But Red Dino is a tryhard in this game. I do have to comment as Gabany and Pingu are just going this Mole Tier 3 style, Mole Fox from Gabany and Mole Boar from Pingu, and then a bunch of defenses. Meanwhile, Red Dino's got like a try-hard ladder deck here. Excuse me, so... we should expect to see Red Dinosaur win this game. Just purely on deck composition, because he's kind of got this like serious deck and the other guys kind of have this derping around deck. But you never know. That derp around deck could actually come out on top, you know, if green... or look how much space everybody is just taking on this map immediately, too. It's kind of like a no rush 10 or no rush 20 agreement or something, where everybody is just claiming every single gristmill, every single campfire. Definitely a crazy game already. They gotta be derping around in voice chat or something, right? That's how I always vision games like this. Like, nobody's built a Warren, man. Like, come on. If I was in this game, I would have opened up 8 farm, 12 squirrel, and I'd be poking people. You know what I mean? It'd be like, hey, how come you don't have anything? These guys must all be in on it. I smell some shenanigans. Free for all starting with 2 gristmills. That would be pretty cool. I would like to see a like a Super Saiyan mode, right? Where you start the game with like 2 or 3 saturated up gristmills already or something like that. That would be nuts. That would be really cool for free for all. Like, imagine not only you start with 2 bases, but you start with 16 farms, and it's just like, go. That could be nuts. All right, so the map's already been claimed for the most part. What is going on in this game? I might fast forward a little bit. Looks like Red Dinosaur is gonna win that split. Well, Gabany's got access to 5 bases, though. Yeah, so no, Gabany's going to win the split. Really, Pingu is the one who kind of got screwed over on that, as he's only got 2 bases. Red's going to have 4, and Green's going to have 5. Dude, I don't even know what to say anymore, you guys. This is a game, indeed. What is going on here? Dude, Gabany built 40 farms before building a single unit. Let's talk about that. That's insane. All these moles coming up. Gabany's like, I don't think so, bro. Counters moles with moles. Backs him out for now. Alright, Red Dino, my man. They are going to write TnTTV and moles. Oh man, if they did that, I'd be so happy. Yeah, alright. We're getting some moles going. What is happening here? 40 moles going to be on the board here shortly for Red Dino. Pingu and Gabany are not that far behind. You know, Boar would be awesome here. But maybe the voice chat just kind of deteriorated down even more at this point. They're like, dude, let's just build moles. Let's just have a big mole war. Hopefully my computer doesn't crash. Dude. Is somebody going to get over 100 moles? Like, 36 farms and nothing but moles. This is amazing. This is tooth and tail art, you guys. Someday, Del, I write TnTTV and Wolf Warrens just for you. If you pull that off, tip of the hat. That's a lot of money. You can use the Wolves in it, right? Like, write TnTTV with the Warrens and the Wolves. That'd be good. Dude. Just... do I even need to say anything anymore? Can we just enjoy what's going on here? That one got me. Warp Gates in chat. Standard competitive build. Oh yeah, this is high level competitive tooth and tail, you guys. This is what we do. I'm just kidding. I should probably be very clear about my sarcasm when I'm on Steam to people who may have never played this game before. This is complete nonsense. These guys are just messing around, trolling, and it's amazing. They really didn't need 6-slot decks here. They really just needed moles in their deck, and that was it. I've seen a free-for-all. Can't remember if it was a free-for-all or 2v2, but I've seen one game like this before where they just built a ton of moles. Now, mathematically, Gabini, aka KSR Division Commander, should win this. Oh, Pingu's sneaking in some mines. Where are the mines? Hang on. He snuck them past me. I see him. Dude. Where are those 2 mines? They could be anywhere. I'm looking on the mini-map. I don't see the little dot form. Are they? Oh, they're right here. Okay. Ugh. Dude. Almost 300 moles in this game. Are they just going to try to take up every single available tile with moles? Then what happens? I guess the rest of the moles just constantly move around trying to find a spot, right? Oh, here we go. Pingu. Moving in on Gabini. Dude, that is so many moles. But Gabini's going to be able to win this. He should get a concave versus con. What is even happening here? Oh my god. You know, this is really smart for Pingu. It almost doesn't even matter that Gabini has so many more moles than he does because you just can't stop this amount of units, right? Like, yeah, Pingu's dropping moles, but he's not dropping moles fast enough. Yeah, he really can't take this fight though. He's just gonna walk his moles through. That might be too much. Oh my lord. Yeah, I think that was the mistake. I think he had to move in this way because he lost a ton of moles trying to get in there. Meanwhile, look at this army from Red Dinosaur. He could get, well, I was gonna say get to 200 moles. I don't think there's enough money to get to 200 moles. What the mole? It takes 8 moles against an undefended Gristmill to take it for sure. Interesting. Is that including if it has 8 farms on it, Protocam? This is silly, you guys. I do see that the Steam numbers are changing a little bit, so I do want to reiterate, this is not a normal game. These guys are just messing around having fun. 148. Oh, those mines aren't there anymore. Did he sell them? Oh man, who wins this? Does Gabini? Nah, Red Dino's got to win. Pingu's knocked out. It's gonna come down to the base race, but Red Dino's so spread out. But then again, yeah, taking more Gristmills. I'm fast forwarding a little bit. What is even happening anymore? Ooh, Gabini might win because Red Dinosaur's in starvation as well. Well, I guess Red Dino could sell a couple moles, build this gristmill, build a farm or two. Yeah, Red Dino should win? I don't know. He'd probably go either way still. Oh man, so now it's kind of whack-a-mole, no pun intended, with gristmills here. Because the win condition is either you're not mining for 60 seconds, as you can see they're both starving. Once that hits 0, then you lose. Or you can take out all your opponent's economic structures, their gristmills and their campfires. So these guys are trying to build more gristmills so that they don't just get knocked out. But I think this campfire over the corner might be what it takes for Red Dino to win this game. Gabini's not aware of it. And money's not going to really be an issue, right? Like, they'll be able to constantly rebuild more gristmills, but starvation is. Gabini is going to lose, mainly due to the starvation. He could have kept building more gristmills, but he didn't have enough time for one to get up and more farms to keep going. So he taps out, and Red Dino takes it. Really cool game. Where are we at? Match number 10. Okay, spawning on the left, we've got Pyle, one of the top players in Tooth and Tail, and his opponent to the right, Cold Warp Gates. All right, man. So Warp Gates is definitely the underdog here, but you never know. He could still win this. He's a good player. If he takes a couple of good engagements, maybe catches Pyle out of position or something like that, you can definitely win. And it always feels good to take a match off a high-level player like Pyle. Pyle is the reigning champion of Tooth and Tail League Season 1. And if you're going to make a list of the top 3, top 5 Tooth and Tail players, Pyle would definitely be on that list. Who do I think is the best right now? That's kind of hard to say. I think Gentleman is looking really good. Pile, obviously. Swifty, Chip, Mishi. Mishi is actually like crazy strong in the moment. So is Valeris. So lots of strong high-level guys. Nothing crazy yet. Both players going for double tier 2, which is pretty neat. Or double tier 3, rather. I'm sorry. And, you know, they have to make sacrifices in order to do that. Cold Warpgates drops one of his tier 2s, and Pile drops a defensive structure, essentially, to get that going. Now, this is a very greedy opening from Pile. He actually did this against me in one of our league games, and I was able to punish him for it. But with the spawn, it's not as bad. Like, 8 farm straight into tier 2 is definitely greedy. It's definitely risky. You can get away with it, and spawn matters. I actually understand why Pile is doing that here. I think it's a specific thing to the map where, you know, the rush distance isn't super far away from one another, but the way that this map is, there's a lot of twists and turns and water and terrains and hills and valleys and such in the way. It makes that rush distance a bit longer. And then also Pile's just got this one entrance to his base, and typically when you have a spawn like Pile has right here, you can get away with greedy openings, like a quick tier 3 or a quick tier 2 or something. But Cold Warpgate definitely could have pushed in and tried to take advantage of Pile, kind of in this specific timing when Pile's invested a lot of money into tier 2, doesn't have a whole lot of tier 1, and you try to get in and get some damage done. But Cold Warpgate's just going to hold it cool for now. His Skunk is significantly behind Pile's, but Pile's got to attack uphill, which is never easy. And with some good focus fire here from Cold Warpgates, he can win this. Like, that's what I'm talking about, man. Like, just squirrels can beat skunks. You just got to target fire very well. And this you know, Pile's trying to do 2 things here. He's trying to come in and poke and prod and get down skunk gas hits before the real big engagement. And then he also wants to tank with this skunk, but it can be risky because when you pull your skunk forward like this, you're running the risk of it getting target fired down, like that first one did very, very quickly. The second one will go down, but I think it being in the front line was pretty worth there for Pile. That second skunk got a lot more value than the first one did, but nice control there from Warpgates. And now Warpgates gets his own skunk out. Pile's gonna push back for the time being. And overall, I like that engagement for Warpgates, but you know, maybe he lost too many squirrels. I'm not so sure, but you know, knocking out both of your opponents tier 2 always feels good. So our economies are starting to progress into the second base territory. Pile is getting this campfire, but it doesn't matter as much in these kinds of situations where it's like, okay, we're gonna chill out and we're gonna go into a mid game on 2 base, if that makes sense, because you know it'll put Pile up. You know, it's hard to explain. Like, I guess it would be 16 to 17 farms, right? If the both second bases are fully saturated, but we probably won't see a situation like that. These second bases will probably get saturated a bit slower. But Pile is definitely one of these guys that loves to take a big gamble and try to get up to 16 farms as fast as possible. Instead, he's going to go for that quick tier 3. And this is a very difficult part in the game, I feel like. When you get to this position where both players have a second base and you're kind of saturating up more and more, you're increasing your army value, those sorts of things. I lose games all the time against strong players where it's basically this situation, you know, where they snuck out a tier 3 unit and I just didn't. Then all of a sudden you get blindsided and it gets harder and harder to scout. Like, you can't even really say, well, Cold Warpgate should just go scout. You know, in this specific situation, he might be able to get in there and see it, but normally when we get to these bigger armies like this in the mid game, it can be very, very difficult to actually get a full scout on your opponent, as your opponent's army will kill your commander before you can really get in and do that. But Cold Warpgates did have some good game sense here and threw down his own tier 3, so this tier 3 is not going to be terribly behind Pile's. And Pile is going for the Owl, which is kind of the slow burn tier 3 here. It's not going to, you know, be super impactful right when it hits the board like something like a Fox or a Badger will. It's gonna put your opponent on alert, like, oh crap, they have an Owl now, right? But you have a little bit extra time to deal with it. So He scouts that tier 3, or I'm sorry, that's Pile. Ha! I got confused for a second there, but I caught myself. That could have been much more embarrassing. Alright, so the Owl is going to get out a bit faster for Pile here than the Badger does for Cold Warp Gates. Pile also getting his full saturation on his second base a little better than Cold Warp Gates. And that's really just, you know, Pile being Pile, right? Pile's arguably the best player. Cold Warp Gates is actually a really good player, but he's still a beginner. So little tiny things like when it's safe, you know, optimally to throw down the tier 3, or exactly when I'm safe enough to get up to that full saturation. You know, Pile's got those kinds of things really nailed in. And Cold Warp Gates is, you know, performing well in that regard. Like he might saturate up more here. Has he scouted the? Okay, so he hasn't really scouted the full saturation yet. If you're having trouble kind of figuring out when to take farms, my rule of thumb is always kind of try to match what your opponent's doing plus 1 or 2 farms, right? You don't want to build too many more farms in them and get caught where they have a better army. But here we go, the big engagement. And on paper, the Badger should win this. The Badger's going to put out a lot of DPS, and unless Pile can keep that thing focus fired and kill it immediately, it's going to be really, really rough for him to deal with. And Pile actually did not try to focus fire at all in that engagement. He was mainly more concerned with trying to keep his units alive. And Cold Warp Gates is coming in with a nice push here. This might be too much, as long as he doesn't mess up and lose the Badger. Badger's getting a lot of healing from all these pigeons. Pile's backed in a corner, and this might be a victory for the underdog, as Cold Warp Gates, a relatively newer player, is going to take a map off of one of the strongest players in the game. Very well done. Pile staying in the game for now, but this map is definitely over. To be honest, I figured I wouldn't win a long game versus Pile. Just wanted a Badger push. No, yeah, that's a good idea. I agree that was a smart move to make. A Badger push can be very, very rough to deal with. I've actually been finding lately that Falcons do very well against Badgers because they just kind of have enough bursts, right, to be able to kill that Badger. But Pile being Pile, man, is still finding a way to get some damage done. Yeah, as you can see, Pile is trying to get into Falcons, as he knows Falcons do quite well against the Badger. But Pile might have taken too much damage. However, you never know, man. If somebody could make a comeback happen here, it would be Pile. But it's really, for Pile to get back into this game, mistakes would have to be made from Cold Warp Gates, as he's doing the correct thing here. He knows how far ahead he is. He knows he can come in here and just keep the pressure on Pile, and Pile just really doesn't have anything to defend this with. That should be game. Dude, Pile is so determined to not lose this game, man. Oh, that Badger's getting low. But I feel like if Cold Warp Gates lost the Badger, he'd still have enough at this point. We'll just enjoy some happy little carnage. As Pile finally concedes, and Cold Warp Gates takes the game. All right. A couple more for you guys. If you're just joining us on Steam, welcome everybody. I am Delthius. I'm one of the competitive players and casters of Tooth and Tail. I run this replay show twice a week, every Tuesday, Thursday, 8 p.m. EST on Twitch. So check it out if you're interested in the game, you guys. It's a lot of fun, man. I have a good time doing it. Big shout out to everybody in chat too. You guys are awesome, showing up early. Yeah, I've got better viewership than I thought I would, because I kind of run a tight ship. Like, I always stream at the same time. I think keeping a schedule is important, but I had to start early today. And most of my regular people showed up, so thank you for that, guys. Okay, who done it? James Zakurpa, maybe Fermar. Oh, Premium Bo's not in on this, huh? All right, let's find out. Match number. I know who it is. I'm not saying anything, though. I'll make P-Boop scratch his head for a little bit. Match number 11, guys. Alright, spawning on the left, we've got Premium Bowring. And his opponent to the right, Premium Throwing. These names are just specifically engineered to mess with my buddy Premium Bow, moderator of my channel on Twitch. So let's dig into this game, guys. What do we got here? Not the best spawn in the world for Premium Bowring. Now, granted, with all this water, I mean, he can still kinda, I guess, come up here and take the space as a second, but you never want to be that spread out. But really not the best spawn in the world for Premium Throwing either. Oh, and I love this. He sold off the 8 farms. Okay, so this is... Alright, so darn it. So Premium Bowring hadn't seen the scout at all. But... Oh, wait. Hang on. Am I crazy? Alright, so it's the other way around. So what happened was Red scouted Green and saw that Green was going aggressive, and then Red iterated his build. I apologize. I was looking at the map a bit too much. So instead of throwing down an early Warren, Premium Throwing here is going to hope that a single turret will be able to defend it. Now, I don't know, man. Lizards are pretty good. Maybe with the pig fire, that turret might be able to do something, but I still feel like these lizards should be able to get in here. Wow, he actually just decides to sell that turret, and the pig goes down. These are totally legit players. Green is James Bowring. Really, Premium Bow? What makes you think that Premium Bowring is James Bowring? I'm curious. I'm curious. What tipped you off? Okay, so Green here's thinking about taking the space. Looks like he's going to go ahead and grab it now. But meanwhile, Red is going straight up to tier 2. And behind a little bit of defense. And Gentleman points out in the chat that Red doesn't have lizards. That's actually a really good point. That's such a weird phrase to say. I'm trying to get out of the habit of saying that's actually a really good point. Because at first glance, it sounds like an okay thing to say as a caster, right? Like you have a co-caster and they're like, yeah, well, Red doesn't have lizards. Like, yeah, that's a really good point. You're like implying when you say that they normally don't make good points, right? You see what I mean? So if the gentleman says, hey, Red doesn't have lizards, and I say, yeah, that's actually a really good point, I'm basically saying, hey, normally you say stupid stuff, and wow, you're actually making a good point. No, but anyways, the rant's over. The reason he was talking about that is lizards will really take advantage of when you're spread out like this even more so. But Red moving in with the tier 2. The Chameleon's going to go down to the lizards, and these moles are going to help with this push. But Chameleons actually do really well against lizards. The first one goes down, but the second one lives. Wow, that's a really good point, streamer, says Rascoon. Aha, I love it. Now, you gotta throw the actually in there. You gotta say that's I think it's the actually in that phrase that makes it kinda snobbish, you know? If you really want to overanalyze it. You know, Red's got a lot of momentum here. Yeah, I think it's actually, you know, if you say that's a really good point, then you're not really implying anything. But if you say that's actually a really good point, you're kind of implying that you would normally expect them to not make a good point. Man, I bet my audience is just loving me break down a small English phrase so deeply. But there's really not a lot to say here. I mean, it's kind of a crazy build versus pure lizard. I'm a little bit surprised this is working here for Red. You know, a lot of moles to help tank. Chameleons just do so well against lizards. You wouldn't think they do. But they actually have some good defense. They have good defense. They have pretty good DPS. And Premium Throwing is probably a little bit disappointed that the game is not over right here, right now, as I don't think you scouted the top of the map. I'm actually surprised at the points you were making. Yeah, see, there you go. That's correct. That's taking a stab at me. That's the way you do it. All right. Oh, but Bowring here catching that Falcon's actually a really big deal. Premium Throwing's gotta know that base exists in the top, however. You know, just from interpolation at this point. But Premium Bowring has a pretty strong army. Like, it depends on the engagement, but really, I feel like the best way green could win this game is if you ran through the water and tried to just base race here. And I'd love to see red throw down a Gristmill because he knows his opponent's in a desperate position. He knows his opponent's got a lot of lizards. There it is. That's going to help prevent this base race, which is happening right here, right now, as green is heading into the main of premium throwing. And at the same time, red is moving into the main of green. And I think red just kind of wins here because green doesn't have any extra Gristmills, right? This main base might go down first for red, but that's not going to knock him out. That base going down for green knocks him out. And premium throwing, the Cape Crusader here with the meme name wins the match. Okay. Oh, hang on. I'm gonna be a pro streamer here, you guys, and mute my mic before I cough. All right, we got him. Dude, I'll never forget this one time. I tried to do that. It's not even that funny. I don't know why it's cracking me up so much, but so I go into OBS to mute my mic to cough. I really should have a hotkey for it, but I don't. And then I pressed the wrong button and muted everything else but my mic. So it's like, hey God, you guys, let me mute my mic real quick, and then all the sound effects, all the music stop. You just hear me cough really loud. Like, I don't know why that tickles me so much. I guess it's just my sense of humor. Never forget the mole meme of 2018. Oh my God. We love you, says the gentleman. I love you guys too, man. I know who it was. Should I say who it is? No. I gotta get out of the habit. I gotta get out of that habit, man. When somebody sends me a Smurf replay, I gotta. It's easy for me because I get the replay, right? I know who submitted it. I gotta not give away who it is though. They keep the secret alive. All right, last match of the stream, you guys. We're gonna hop into some Red Dinosaur, which is a pretty strong player, versus Chip from Space, which is one of the old school players. I don't think he might have been alpha. I could be wrong there. Was Chip alpha? I don't think Chip was alpha, right? I think Chip just kind of started right when the game launched. But nonetheless, Chip is one of the high-level Tooth and Tail players. Again, you know, if you're gonna make a top 3 best players, top 5, you definitely include Chip on that list. So, match number 12, guys. Let's hop into it. Spawning at the bottom, we've got Chip from Space, and his opponent up top, Red Dinosaur. All right, they're both going for variants on the kind of squirrel, skunk, owl, balloon style. I would kind of say Red Dino not having pigeons is a pretty big deal. I feel like pigeons are very, very strong with skunks at the moment for a lot of reasons. Reason number 1 is they'll help you against your opponent. Skunks are just kind of meta right now, and it's hard to explain because they're not overpowered. I don't feel like. But they just do their job really well, if that makes sense. So you see them quite often. Like, skunks are one of these units that's designed, because tier 1 is actually very strong. And as a design point of an RTS game, the squirrel has to be a strong unit, if that makes sense. The squirrel is kind of the core unit of the game. So therefore, the squirrel becomes the benchmark for everything else, right? You could talk about a tier 2 unit that costs 60 food, and it's like, well, if it's not better than 3 squirrels, then it might not be good enough. Or if it's too much better than 3 squirrels, then squirrels are not going to be good enough, right? So it's kind of that balancing act. You can almost weigh how good other units are as if you only had squirrels in that situation, if that makes sense. Like, would it be better to have 2 chameleons here or that same amount of money in squirrels? What would that be in squirrels? So you could either have 2 chameleons or 6 squirrels, right? If you count the cost of the warrants. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, is 2 chameleons better than 6 squirrels? Or at the very least, how does 2 chameleons compare to 6 squirrels, if that makes sense? Just thinking about the game from a balance and design perspective. So tier 1 are pretty strong. you know, and if your opponent goes 15, 18, tier 1, it's a very shoulder check-esque build. It's going to really punish you if you're trying to be too greedy, maybe rushing a tier 3, trying to take up another base or something. So this kind of skunk style evolved kind of out of that. The skunk kind of puts a limiter, you know, on how many squirrels your opponent can build, if that makes sense. Like, if I'm going for a skunk opening, you're not going to build 15, 18, 21 squirrels because skunks just do so damn well against squirrels. And, but that being said, you know, a lot of squirrels with some good micros still can win the fight. That's why skunks aren't really broken. But pigeons just really pair well with that squirrel skunk style overall for two reasons. For one, the pigeons are going to heal you up against your opponent's skunk gas, assuming they have skunks as well. And for two, they're going to allow you to utilize some cool micro and try to tank with your skunks up front and keep them healed up with the pigeons. And for three, you really can't underestimate the value that pigeons provide, giving you high ground vision. That could really make or break certain games completely. Can't build 30 squirrels, use lizards, says Necromentizer. What's up, Necromentizer? It's good to see you, man. I'm glad I've seen you around a little bit lately. Necromentizer's a good dude. Like, before the skunk meta, man, you were one of those guys who would get up to 20, 30 squirrels. I remember from casting your games on my replay show and in tournaments and stuff. You definitely still haven't lost it, man. I remember me and you have been playing on the ladder the last couple weeks, and I think we're going pretty back and forth. Alright, so I haven't talked a lot about this game because it hasn't been really super crazy so far. Like, Chip just kind of did this, you know, get into some squirrels, opening. Oh, wow, this could actually be really great for Red Dinosaur. That little bit of ramp, he's going to move into the main base of Chip with a nice little lizard run around. I love this kind of stuff. Gets a Warren, gets a pig, and loses 6 lizards in the process, but he's totally fine with that. The only time that can be risky is if Chip counterattacks right here, right now, which is what he looks like he's going to do because he knows his opponent's down 6 lizards. But 6 lizards isn't a ton. You know, it's just 6. It's not like he lost 9 or 12 lizards or something. Very smart to sell off that tier 3 as this big attacks coming in. As your units are about to start dying, you really want to use your money to build reinforcements as soon as possible. And Chip, going for this chameleon style, takes a fantastic engagement here. Really well done. One of his chameleons ends up dying to the poison anyways after it stealths, but the other one stays alive. And Chip gets a little bit deflected for the moment, but overall that was still a nice attack for Chip. He got a lot of damage done. He traded effectively. I think he even took out a couple structures. He should be able to finish off this campfire here shortly. Ooh, almost gets that skunk again. But yeah, that's another thing about the skunk that's really cool too. The skunk is basically, like, the skunk is super, super good against tier 1, right? But it's terrible against other tier 2 units. Like, every other tier 2 unit is strong against the skunk. So I kind of love where the skunk's at in the meta, to be honest. And you're seeing guys figure out new things. Like, I just discovered not too long ago, like, Squirrel Lizard can beat the skunk squirrel opening, right? Because lizards just do so good against most tier 2, especially in small numbers. Especially if they're trying to do that little micro thing where they move their unit forward of their army and try to tank and stuff. They're kind of, the only reason you can get away with that is because the skunk can get out, right? Well, the lizards, all of a sudden, now the skunk can't get out. It's too slow. Lizards gobble them up. So I think it's cool. Like, I like the squirrel skunk pigeon style. For a long time, it was dominant, but now that meta has had a little bit of time to brew and stabilize over the last month or two, we're seeing things like that Squizzard come out into play, or the ferret opening, or chameleon opening, or snake. Like, lots of different ways you can deal with that skunk push. Even defensive structures. Like, I'm kind of notorious for being a fox rusher, right? Like, I have this fox rush build that's really tight. It's borderline unbreakable. And people will try to break it with the big skunk push out, and I mean, just a couple turrets, man, will really help out in situations like that. Snakes have been super hot lately. I agree. What do you think is better, lizards or squirrels? Boba Fett says. It's kind of it's not that cut and dry. They're good at different things. Like lizards, if you want to talk about lizard versus squirrel, lizards will win in an open field engagement. So if there's a big lizard squirrel fight right here, the lizards will win every day of the week. However, if the lizards are attacking in to an opponent who's got squirrels with defender's advantage, where they've got them hunkered down, you know, behind some warrens with some pigs nearby to help fire, the squirrels will win that engagement. But the lizards are very good at, they're kind of like a special tactics unit. You know, they're good at doing runaround attacks. They're good at taking out your opponent's squirrels if it's a nice open field engagement. But they're not good in tight areas. You can get into a concave convex situation very easily. Also, too, the lizards are one of those units where it's either like, you're going to win really hard with them or lose really hard with them, you know. But I feel like lizards do really well against tier 2 at the moment, if that makes sense, because they have more DPS than squirrels do. Nice little chameleon trick there by Chip. You know, Chip's a little bit in a desperate position here, as Red Dino does have the second base up and running, and he's got a few more farms on it than Chip does. Chip, I don't think, is aware of that base at all. He hasn't scouted it, so it's like, well, obviously he's not aware of a Delthius, but he could just know. I mean, Chip's one of the best players in the game. He's probably looking at the army that Red Dino has and is like, okay, he's got something somewhere. I'm talking about meta abuse. I think that lizards are very good to abuse the meta at the moment, Boba Fett. I think you still I would still run Squirrel Lizard. I think you can even make the argument to go as far as Squirrel Lizard Pigeon. But yeah, because Skunk Rushes are very meta at the moment, and I feel like lizards deal with that very well. So yeah, I think lizards are strong at the moment. Really, there's not a whole lot of units that aren't strong. Like, I think the general consensus is that Boar is a little weak, right, compared to the other tier 3. But he's not unplayable. It's just, you know, most of the time you should go for another tier 3. But really, most of the units in the game, I feel like, are pretty viable at the moment. Boba Fett with the bit cheer, man. I appreciate it. All right, Chip. Moving in, gets a snake. That's very nice for Chip, as Red Dino is trying to do this harassment where he's just trying to poke and prod with his tier 2, get some pre-fight damage on Chip. Red Dino is being very careful. It can be very intimidating when you're playing against a high-level player like Chip, man. But Red Dino's no slouch, you know. He's definitely high up there. I would say Red Dino's like Diamond League, you know, where Chip is like Grandmaster. But Chip is now starving. You know what? I think Chip he might not know about the additional economy for Red Dino. Maybe he didn't make that read. Nice little lizard run around attack too, by the way. This is going to be devastating. He's just going to knock those farms out immediately. Debated trying to get that gristmill, but no, he's just going to run around Chip even more, get more damage done. This is exactly the type of thing you're looking to do with the lizards. Very nicely played there from Red Dino. And again, Chip is going to do the only thing he really can do at the moment, which is try to counterattack in and take advantage of this little window where the Red Dinosaur just traded out a bunch of units to get some damage in. Toads deal with skunks better than lizards. Dude, toads are so good right now. I think toads are very strong right now. And I'm proud of myself because I was saying toads are amazing before most other people were, so that's a little ego boost for me there. I was running toads with success when most of the other high level guys were like, toads are terrible. But to be fair, the change to retreating that got made, which I think is about to get reverted, did make toads stronger. Delthius is so avant-garde. I know, why do I gotta be hipster about toads? I was using toads before everybody decided they were good, you guys. I don't even know why I say stuff like that, guys. Really egotistical. Anyways, guys, that's the show. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the show if you're on Steam. Hey, check out Tooth and Tail. I don't know if it's still the case. So don't, 100% quote me, but I think there's, a refund thing on Steam, right? Where you can, get a full refund for a game if you put in less than an hour or two or something like that. I've never personally done it, but I've heard about that, and I think that's a really cool tool from Steam that, really helps indie gamers, because it can be rough, man. I mean, every dollar hurts, or every dollar helps. It certainly doesn't hurt, you know. So, you know, when you're on the fence about supporting an indie game, it can be really cool just to give it a try. And then it's like, yeah, if this isn't for me, you can get that Steam refund. Massive Stealth confirms that there is that. Well, I just got here. Okay, goodbye then. I know, man. I started 2 hours early because I had to tonight. So I'm expecting. Yeah, I just got a bunch of viewers coming in right at 8 because this is when I normally start the show. Yeah. Yeah, and TNT is on sale. It's very true. We just had that awesome free weekend. That was really fun, man. That was really cool. We got a lot of new players in the scene from that. ToothAndTail is still on sale at the moment during the lovely Steam summer sale. But yeah, I don't want to sound too much like hey, you know, try it out. But seriously, I mean, even if it isn't Tooth and Tail, you know, just try, you know. It really means a lot to indie developers when you can support them and buy those cheap games, you know, $5, $10, $15 or whatever. And if you don't like it, then just get your money back. I mean, everything's not for everybody, man. But all right, guys, that is it for me. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I apologize to everybody who's just who's just showing up right now. I am actually ending the stream, so I had a good time, you guys. I don't know if next week if I'm going to be on Steam again or not. I'll have to check the schedule. But I'd like to, while we're still doing the Steam stream during the summer sale, maybe do another ranked game, ranked day. That'd be a lot of fun. So that's it, guys. Yeah, if you just showed up, man, the VOD will be available, so check that out. You're all a bunch of beautiful nerds. Take care, everybody. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I will see y'all next week. Should probably find somebody to host. Man, I just did such a good outro. Now I'm not even ready to stop. Let's go raid Miss Clicker. And let's call him a Miss Clicker. Yeah, we're gonna do that. Alright, for real. For real, we're ending now, you guys. Take care, everybody.